This world keeps spinning, and with each new day I can feel a change in everything. And as the surface breaks, reflections fade, but in some ways they remain the same. And as my mind begins to spread its wings, there's no stopping curiosity. I wanna turn the whole thing upside down. I'll find the things they say just can't be found. I'll share this love I find with everyone. We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's songs. I don't want this feeling to go away.
Thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about the definition of biodiversity, why biodiversity is important, what the threats are to biodiversity, what will happen if nothing is done, and how can we protect biodiversity. Here is my host, Hannah.
Thank you, Erica.
So Hannah, what is the definition of biodiversity?
Well, Erica, biodiversity refers to the total diversity of life on Earth. So when talking about biodiversity, we are talking about the different genes of animals and humans, to individuals, to species, to the ecosystem, and into the entire Earth's biosphere.
So why is biodiversity important?
Well, Erica, I think I can answer that question. Biodiversity is important for our survival on Earth because the more diverse species we have, the better chance we have are surviving an amazing catastrophe. But without biodiversity, we wouldn't have medical and other material stuff we have today. You see, it's like one giant web. It's like huge. Biodiversity is amazingly big. And it's like, if one species dies off, then it'll harm another species, and then that species just dies, it's gone. And that cycle will continue to happen, and it'll get back to us, and we'll die off, and it'll be horrible.
But who and how is biodiversity being threatened?
Well, Hannah, every year we destroy 1% of our tropical forest, and every year we degrade 1% of our tropical forest. Even though only 7% of the land surface is the tropical forest, 50% of all species on Earth live there. The biggest threats to biodiversity are habitat loss, such as logging, introduced species, which are species that are foreign to the habitat, and when introduced to the habitat, they throw off the cycle of life and the food web. The third threat to biodiversity is pollution. If humans keep polluting the water, coral reefs will die, and then the fish will die. Or vice versa. If the fish die, the coral reefs die.
The fourth and fifth threats to biodiversity are the growing population of humans, because the more people there are, the more space we need, and the more we destroy biodiversity. The last threat to biodiversity is overconsumption. If humans keep overconsuming products, then we will be wasting more and needing more spaces for landfills.
We are now going to join Hayden in Key Largo.
I'm here in Key Largo swimming in the coral reefs with many biodiverse species. The coral reefs are a great example of biodiversity because they have many different species. They all support each other. It's a complex balance that scientists still have trouble understanding. 15.8% of the world's coral reefs have about 50% of the ocean species. And did you know that 58% of the coral reefs are directly threatened by human activities?
Hannah, what will happen if humans don't protect biodiversity?
Well, Erica, if nothing is done to protect biodiversity, then all species are doomed, including humans.
So, how can we protect biodiversity?
Thank you. I'm here with Mr. Good, our ecology teacher. What can you tell us about biodiversity? How can we protect and restore it?
Hayden, I think the first thing about biodiversity is exactly what you're doing, which is number one, learning what biodiversity is. Mm-hmm. Number two, learning the benefits and the values of biodiversity. And three, looking at what our current threats to biodiversity are. Once you've set those three things in line, you've learned about those three things, you learn that you need to take action to protect, restore, and recover biodiversity in the wild, here in America, overseas, and everywhere.
All right. Do you think there's a way that humans can learn to coexist with other organisms?
Absolutely. We've been coexisting for tens and thousands of years. And so the more we learn about our ecosystem, the more we learn how to get back to coexisting and working with the things that we need, the biodiversity that we need to support our lives and support the way we like to live here on Earth.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Hayden. We are now going to see clips of Hayden and Erica asking people earlier today what they know about biodiversity.
What do you know about biodiversity?
I don't know much about biodiversity, but I sure wish I knew more.
What do you know about biodiversity?
Well, not a whole lot. I know that it's supposed to be a good thing because that will help more organisms survive if there's a range of organisms. But that's about it.
What is biodiversity?
Well, bio has to do with, like splitting things in two, or bio is biology. Diversity means a lot of different things when you diversify things. So biodiversity is the diversity of bio. I mean, what else could it be?
That all the plants and animals and the environment and everything of the earth is kind of intertwined. And so if one creature suffers, the ones who kind of depend on that for food or depend on that to help level something else out, gets all messed up. And so we kind of are all interdependent. So if one creature suffers, everything is affected.
I know that Georgia actually has a high level of biodiversity, and a lot of people don't know that in the various regions of Georgia.
What do you think biodiversity is?
Biodiversity, I guess it's probably having a very diverse number of animals and plants and living things.
What do you know about biodiversity?
Well, with diversity you get different things. And with bios, so that's giving you different bios. And bio is short for biography. So you're getting different biographies for different people. It's kind of like on the A&E network. They have biographies of Kiefer Sutherland, of Barbara Walters, and so that is biodiversity.
I know that we need, as a country, as a world, we need to start paying more attention to it. And I think we need to individually just do little things that we can do individually that might make a big difference if everybody does something.
So what can we do? Well, for starters, we can all reduce, reuse, and recycle. Every time you leave the room, turn off the lights. That way you are reducing energy. If you are going to the grocery store, bring your own reusable bag. That way you are reducing the use of plastic bags. You can reuse is plastic water bottles. Don't just throw them away, refill them. And last but not least, you can recycle. You can recycle plastics, cans, paper, glass, and many other things. These are just 3 ways you can help protect biodiversity. There are also companies that protect biodiversity, such as Fish and Wildlife Services. They protect organisms that live on the land and freshwater organisms. National Marine Fishery Service is another company that protects marine organisms. Oh, and I forgot one more thing. You can also compost. You can set one up in your backyard. Just make sure you have a lot of light. Just put in your yard trimmings and biodegradable foods. That way they won't go to landfills, but instead decompose back into the earth. If we all do our part, we can protect and restore biodiversity. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. See you next time.
And the water below gives a gift to the sky, and the clouds give back every time they cry. Make the grass grow green beneath my toes, and if the sun comes out, or paint a picture all about the colors I've been dreaming of. The hours just don't seem enough. Put it all together, always be a stranger to see.